Shalom, this is Daniel John Lee with Torah Restoration Ministries. We're almost to the end of the 8th month here. The new moon will be coming up in just a couple of more days. It is November the 20th, 2014, beginning the preparation day tonight, Thursday night. Thought I'd just thank everyone because I now am at 1,000 subscribers, which is sort of a hallmark on YouTube. So I just wanted to thank everyone for getting me up to 1,000 subscribers, which I think I hit today. So that was kind of neat to see. I also wanted just to make a commentary. I thought I was going to make it for Shabbat, but I figured I'd make it tonight. And the reason I have this sort of eerie picture on my YouTube is because I want to talk about 2015 and the statement that I believe describes 2015, which is something wicked this way comes. The reason why I say this is because if any of you have studied or listened to Jonathan Cahn, who has come out with the book The Harbinger, and he's talked a lot about the signs of 9/11 and how it relates to signs in the scriptures, but he also talks about this Shemitah year cycle, and his claim is that every 7th year, or the Shemitah year, the Sabbath year, which is outlined in Torah, Yahweh brings judgment upon America and the West in some form or fashion. And he shows this pattern. He says that 2001 was a Shemitah year when we had 9/11. He says 2008 was a Shemitah year when we had the market crash. He says 1987 was a Shemitah year when we had another market crash. And he kind of goes through this 7-year cycle showing that every 7th year there's this bad crash, and so now he's predicting one for 2015. The problem with what he's saying, however, is pretty profound, and that is he very clearly in his teachings, as he's talking about the 7th year cycle, he very clearly says that 1967 is a Jubilee. That's the year that the Jews retook Jerusalem. And so he clearly says 1967 is a Jubilee year, and I even heard him tell this to Sid Roth on Sid Roth's program. Well, the thing is, if 1967 is a Jubilee year, which happens every 50 years in Scripture, it's a year of release and freedom, then that means the next Jubilee year would be 50 years later, would be 2017. Well, there's a problem, because if 1967 is a Jubilee, which I agree, I think it is, and Jonathan Cahn has said it is, then that would make 2017 the next Jubilee, which means 2016 would be a Shemitah year, not 2015, as Jonathan Cahn says. So that means 2016 is a Shemitah year. And so that means all these years that he points out, 2008, 2001, 1987, all these years of judgment, they are not Shemitah years. They are not 7th years. They are the 6th year in the 7-year cycles. So again, in scriptures, if you go to Torah, you have blocks of 50 years, the 50th being the Jubilee. And those 50 years, the preceding 49 are demarcated into 7-year cycles. And 2008, 2015, 2008, 2001, 1987, these years would be the 6th year in the 7-year cycles. And I think that's really interesting, actually, because if 1987, when a market crash happened, was a 6th year, and if 2001, when 9/11 happened, was a 6th year, and if 2008, when the market crash happened, was a 6th year, that means Yah is bringing his judgment on America and the United States on the 6th year, which the 6 is the number of man. So to me, that makes a lot more sense that he would bring judgment upon man in the year of man than he would in the Sabbath year. So, but now, so that's where Jonathan Cahn's error is. He's a year off. And the reason he's a year off, and it's actually kind of, you scratch your head because it's like, well, he says 1967 is a Jubilee, so you just have to do basic math and you come to 2017 and you can see that 2016 would be the Shemitah year, the 7th Sabbath year in the 7-year cycle, not 2015. But the reason why he makes this mistake, and Sid Roth makes this mistake and many others, is because people are listening to the rabbis, and the rabbis are declaring that 2015 is a Shemitah or a Sabbath year. Of course, the rabbis, they follow a calendar that was calculated by Hillel 300 to 400 years after the time of Messiah, and they're way off anyway. So you can't follow the rabbis. But the rabbis are declaring that 2015 is a Shemitah year, so that's what Jonathan Cahn's saying and a lot of others. Well, this is a huge error. Well, The reason why I say 2015 is a year of something wicked this way comes is, first of all, 2015 does fit the pattern in terms of it's a 6th year of the 7-year cycles. And if you look at the 6th year and all these previous 7-year cycles, you do see major judgment hitting the West. You saw it in 2008, which was the 6th year in the previous 7-year cycle. You saw it in 2001, which was the 6th year in the 7-year cycle before that. You go back a couple 7-year cycles before that, you come to 1987, which was a 6th year. And so you see the 6-year pattern. So 2015 is the 6th year, so I do believe there's going to be some major catastrophe that will hit the West, and America in particular, if this 6-year pattern holds, which I believe it will. But then, the reason why I think it's even more wicked or insidious is because you have people like Jonathan Cahn and the rabbis and many Messianics and Sid Roth and a lot of others who are saying, oh, we're coming up on a Shemitah year. So not only is it going to be a year of great judgment because it's a so-called Shemitah year, but also it's going to be a year where, Yah is going to be doing these wonderful things and bringing us into all these places. Well, that's not true, because it's not going to be a Shemitah year at all. And yet all these Christians, both Messianics and Christians, are saying, oh, 2015 is going to be a major year, a year of shaking, a year where Yah is going to be positioning his people and all this other stuff. Well, the problem is it's not a Shemitah year, like everyone's saying. And then you put on top of that another layer, which is the tetrad, the blood moons that are occurring on the feast days for 2014 and 2015. And so that's even giving people even more a reason to say, oh, 2015, which will see the end of this tetrad that we've had over these past 2 years, it even makes it even more significant. Well, I think that because people are following in this deception, Jonathan Cahn, Messianics, the rabbis, that 2015 is Shemitah year, that they're setting themselves up for some great deception, which will, I believe, manifest in 2015. I've talked about on many of my articles and teachings, if you go to my website, spirittorah.com, I talk about the false regathering, this understanding within Messianics that we have to gather to Israel and only then can we bring the Messiah. And actually this is going to be a trap because the only one waiting in Israel for us at this point will be the anti-Messiah, not the real Messiah. In fact, Revelation says Jerusalem will become as Sodom and Egypt, spiritually as Sodom and Egypt, in the last days before Messiah returns. So I think it's possible that the great false regathering could occur next year. But one thing's for sure, something very, very deceptive is going to go on. On the Christian side of things, if you listen to a man named Rick Wiles, who has an End Times program, he's a Christian, and he thinks that we're going to be called to leave the United States and go down to South America in 2015. I'm telling you, there's a lot of strange stuff that people think is going to happen in 2015, and that's why I think something wicked this way comes. Something very deceptive and dark and wicked seems to be manifesting to take place in 2015, along with a major catastrophe that will probably hit America, the West, the financial markets in 2015. So I just wanted to make everyone aware of that, to be on guard, stay in the scriptures, stay close to Yah, plead the blood of Yahshua for yourself, and please don't move yourself to go any place in particular just because other Christians or Messianics are telling you in 2015, because it may just be a trap. This is Daniel John Lee with Torah Restoration Ministries. The website's www.spirittorah.com. Shalom, shalom.